Hey guys, welcome back to another Foundry review. We are taking a look at the next episode of Agatha All Along, episode number 8. Follow me, my friend, to glory at the end. We got Sly and Johnny and myself ready to talk about this episode. Are you guys ready to talk about this one? This was an interesting one for sure.
I'm pumped.
Ready as we can be.
Yeah, I'm pumped
Yeah.
for it. We had both episodes drop, but we're gonna do 8, and then 9 will be its own separate video and stuff. But they were dropped on the same day, right? Same night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So last time Sly and I, did we all say that was a 10 or?
We
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it was
we
like the
came
very
off the
first
heels
time.
of a great episode.
Yes, and unfortunately, this one was not a great follow-up. Ended up with a pretty fucking amazing cliffhanger. I will admit that at the very end of the episode. But we did get to see kind of Rio doing her gig, doing her thing. Now that we found out that she is like confirmed death, and all the characters know that she's death. So,
Yep.
that's confirmed. So we saw Alice in the afterlife, I guess, which is it was pretty neat little thing to see. I enjoyed
It was nice to
that.
confirm it, for a fact she is dead,
Yeah.
But this was a very dialogue heavy episode. Like the whole beginning sequence was just like dialogue between like Rio and Agatha and just kind of just everyone's, emotions after the last episode and kind of gripping with that. So it wasn't too bad, but it was just a lot of information to provide us, I guess, right at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Not the smoothest, but not awful, I guess. It's kind of, middle of the road in terms of how good it was, at least in my opinion.
No, I mean
I
like
thought that was a pun.
when you compare it to the other episodes that we've seen, it is really disappointing, and I feel like it just feels very weird and clunky, like they didn't know where to go with it or something.
Yeah. The emotional impact just wasn't quite there between some of the character interactions, I felt like.
Also, I was not big on the actual trial that they experienced. Like, like here it's time for like Jen. She's gonna explain her backstory, and it's so briefly scaped over, And we thought Alice was kind of like the one that got barely any screen time, but like it came down to it. She started like, oh yeah, I got shafted. I'm no longer to use spells or anything like that, and they started talking about it, and then she's like, oh, you did it. Oh, I did it. Okay, well, blah blah blah. Latin, done. Bye, gone. It's like
You have no power
That's
over me,
true.
blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Whoa.
it's, the
Yeah,
power
just
one
chant that
returns. It was like it was so happy.
They didn't hint that at all. Like,
No,
why didn't they like hint more at the fact that it was actually her that like bound her somehow?
I don't know.
I really hope it wasn't for comedic effect because they've tried to make Agatha's character like very comedic to draw away from, whenever she's too stressed to, confront the truth.
Yeah.
But it was such a glossed over thing like, oh, you were in Boston at that time? Oh, yeah, my bad. That was probably me, G. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
like-
what the fuck that means. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
oh.
I feel like Jen was a very solid character too, and that
She
was a
was,
very
yeah.
big moment. Like, I don't know, the whole morgue thing, I didn't really like that trial because all the other ones was like, oh, if we don't complete this, like the potion's gonna like this potion that we wine to drink, it's gonna kill us. It's gonna like tear us up, because of the symptoms. And the other one's like a literal fucking demon or a ghost, like there's actual threats. And
Yeah.
the other one's just like, oh, the lights are gonna go out. Like, what's gonna happen? It's like, oh, it's just gonna crumble. And like, well, don't they all just kind of break down and crumble?
Yeah,
Anyways,
if you stay, you die. Yeah, but it was a little underwhelming. It wasn't as drawn out. But even getting to that trial was kind of confusing. That was the whole point why he like stepped into the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
There was no trial, which with hindsight, it kind of makes a little more sense. But still, it's kind of bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. It just felt like a very weird episode. 'Cause,
Very
like,
cop-outy
technically
to me.
everyone got what they wanted ish.
Ish.
Except for Agatha, obviously, but she's still that whole thing of like planting that flower and like I guess it was it was an earth magic trial or whatever, so that was the test, I guess, so that's why it worked. But it was very weird. What, she got like an eyelash or something and then like her tear on it and then planted it and a flower came out. I was so confused about like what that was supposed to symbolize something or what. Like I have no idea what the meaning of all that was. It was very strange.
I have not a clue. And it was just a very fast one, very very quick, you know.
Yeah,
And then
it went by very quick.
yeah, I did like seeing Rio, being all spooky and crazy and stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. But we ended up getting more of the typical Marvel trope of like big flashy ending sequences with CGI and shit, which it wasn't bad. It was fine.
It's fine.
But it was exactly what you'd expect from a Marvel production.
Very very disappointing just to see like a big whoosh of wind, someone flies, and then there's a lot of talking, and there's another big whoosh of wind, and there's a lot of talking. I'm like, all right, cool. There's no urgency to this at all. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're not worried about it because it really tells me that I shouldn't be fucking worried about it. So thank you for that.
There was too much talking, and then Billy gets thrown once, and then he's covered in blood.
He's like,
Bro.
I can't do it.
Oh.
It's fucking stupid. It's a dumbass episode, man.
There's really not a lot to dissect on
I know,
this episode.
not really.
That
Besides, like,
part.
we just go into how like kind of how fast and how quick they went through the episode, just to complain and bitch about it. But
Yeah.
like, there's a couple of cool things. Like, it was just a very fast transition, which they honestly should have just made. 2 episodes. They should have just combined it.
They should have, yeah. I mean, the only really highlights of this episode is one person survives the road and gets what they want, which is, yay, Jen. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Then there's, the whole deal between Rio and Agatha that we kind of get led on about, the whole, like, hey, this was the deal. Like, you bring people, they die, I take them, And then on top of it, it went back to what does Billy want, which Agatha was really beating a dead horse about that. And I was like, I think that was the issue with this episode. So much flip-flopping from Agatha.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to tell like what she actually wants because of that.
Right.
I still don't know. I still don't know what she's chasing or what she wants.
Yeah,
it's very confusing.
It's like there's not a good difference. Like, we should be able to tell from an outside audience to what that character like is, if she's manipulating someone or if she's playing into them. I feel like if that's her character, and she's like using people, we should be able to be like, oh, okay, like I can tell. But now it just feels like inconsistent writing and acting to a degree, instead of like, oh, we can't trust them. Oh, they're doing something shady. It's none of that. It just feels very just confusing. Yeah, very just kind of confusing. I mean, we had the fight scene, and then we had the end, which was pretty cool. I like the ending.
Yeah, I thought that was all fine. Pretty standard stuff. I thought it was very interesting that she still ended up. I was very confused at the end because we get close to the end and like, okay, Agatha's dead. She embraced death. So what happens now? That seems like the end of the show. Like, he just goes back to his room and he's realizing that he put it all together. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
it felt like it didn't feel like the second to last episode. It felt like that could have been the last episode. It felt really weird because I was like, okay, everything's concluded, it seems like. Just to then have one more episode of extra information. So it just felt a little like awkward.
As fuck.
I think the only other thing that we haven't talked about is the fact that, I guess we talked a little bit about Billy getting what he wants is to, find his brother and everything. But it was interesting, the whole sequence of them like sitting together and like finding someone that's going to be dead to put his like mind into, I guess, similar to what he did. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It seemed kind of similar to other sequences we've seen of like, I don't know, seeing other people's minds and stuff like that. But
yeah, so that was a very weird like thing where she talked him into guiding his soul to find a vessel, which makes me think of like, it's been 3 years. Has his soul just been lost or something? Like, how who guided like William's soul or Billy's soul into William's dead body then?
Yeah. Well, I think that was just him because that was like his power that allowed him.
Oh yeah, because
so
he's
happens
more
subconsciously.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So that makes more sense. But he's just been hanging around, I guess, or something. Like, I guess
guess.
Tommy's soul or something. I don't know, man. Why the fuck are they
was so vague.
Why are they bringing souls in the Marvel universe? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Jesus, souls. I gotta worry about Marvel souls now.
Yeah, it's also still strange though, because the whole deal that they had, like Agatha was like she died instead of like Billy, but the
Yeah.
whole problem that why Rio or Death was after him in the first place was because he defied the laws of like, nature, so to speak, because he already died and the person he went into was supposed to be dead, but he went into them and now they're still living. So how does Agatha dying change anything? That he still defied the laws that she was going after him for. So
I
that
don't
whole plot
fucking
line
know.
was confusing to me. I was not on board for that.
I still am like, I'm still weirded out by the thing. It's like, yeah, William died, but Billy, who was a non-existent made-up thing, went into a vessel because his soul was made up by Wanda. So she created matter and created life. So it's like, oh man, like they got really complicated. Like we were just saying, like the last episode, like they did such a great job of just making so much sense where we didn't even have to talk about or ask any questions because of how fluid it was and how it just kind of came together and how impressed we were by that. And I'm just like, big old question mark. And I think a lot of it has to do with Billy, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just a lot of the logic behind it is hard to follow. So
For sure.
It makes it hard for us to like, get on board with whatever the logic is because it doesn't seem very clear based on how they're describing it. So
his outfit sucked though, right?
It was kind of weird. I know they're trying to go for more comic book accurate, I think, but it just felt, I don't know, it just kind of looked kind of lame in my opinion.
Oh yeah, quite lame. For sure.
It's funny because I was thinking that, and then she was like, "You look good," and I was like, "No, he doesn't."
Yeah, don't lie to the kid. Fucking I, dude.
Like I don't think so. The outfit kind of looks weird. But I don't know. It was a fine episode, I guess. There was some interesting moments, some plots finally resolved ish. But it was just overall a little confusing. So yeah,
It's just
very.
Yeah, felt kind of rushed too. Like the whole morgue thing felt very rushed. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they like spread out the season so well, but the last episode felt very just like it felt like they tried to fit so much into it that they could have just spread out in a few here and there. They had no business throwing it all in the last episode or last 2 episodes.
Yeah, they fucking were cheesing it in that episode, trying to rush through it.
it's funny. Yeah, it felt rushed, but it also felt not rushed because there was like a whole sequence near the end.
Dude, I was
where
bored
we just
as
see
fuck.
Billy walking around, like he just walks out,
No
walks
sense of
to
urgency.
the car, and just drives home. Walks through his house. He's looking at the stuff, making the connection. All of that could have been a lot shorter. Not that it was like awful, but it just
Yeah, a little
felt really,
montage
like,
with his parents. I'm glad they showed that because that makes so much sense. You know?
Yeah, they would have
Like-
been worried, right?
Yeah, and like the townspeople as well. If it's all green and shit like that and crazy, it's just
They're like, again?
yeah. And it's weird to be like, oh, here's this physical, like version of death that's here, and it's like, and there's people dying every like 30 seconds everywhere.
Yeah, you can't.
Do you think
about it
that
too
each
much.
dimension, oh, I will, motherfucker, I will. Do you think each dimension has their own death, or do you think that death covers all the dimensions? Like, do you not think like death like should have showed up to stop WandaVision, or at least confront her whenever, or sorry, just confront Wanda whenever she was like going through different like fucking dimensions, just murdering herself and just fucking shit up and stuff, and like kind of breaking the rules. And also Doctor Strange, who was like using his magic to be another dead person. It's like, is that not breaking rules too? Like, I don't know. It's like just now death is existing. Like, the MCU's been alive for like over 15 fucking years now, and you're just now bringing death, and now we're gonna make some rules on this stuff. I guess only for Marvel Television for this one series that she's a part of. I don't know. Seems a bit weird and funky and stuff. But it's just more to bitch about. I'm like, I guess it's a really hard thing to do, but it leaves a lot of open stuff. There's just so many more questions than there are answers.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it's
I
like
definitely agree with you.
a resolution, because it's like a fake out resolution. Like it's a fake out ending, kind of thing
A little
too.
bit.
I think what the issue is too is, the reveal of Rio as death was fire.
Yeah.
The letdown was not giving her a better arc to her story.
Like no offense, no fight, no nothing, no capitalization,
Exactly,
no
yeah.
gain, no like, oh, I get to consume your power, I get the fight, like nothing, absolutely nothing.
We end up getting the least amount of content and like knowledge about her. Even though there's like this whole will they won't they crap with Agatha, it makes zero sense. And then the whole reason why she's like, oh, the kid's an abomination. Can we get a little more clarity on that? Are we just
Yeah,
gonna
like why?
we're gonna table that? Like, I'm assuming it's because he technically already died and he cheated death, no pun intended. I think that's really what it is. And she technically cannot be the one that kills people.
Right.
But like, how does she make the rules in terms of like when someone's time is up? Is she an omnipotent being? Because if she is, then we're right. She does exist at every place, at every minute. Anytime someone dies, it's just off scene. Because like we saw, Alice's body, Alice was like separate.
Kinda
It was kinda
crumbled,
like her
yeah.
soul was out. Yeah. So I'm like, where are we going with this? Where?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like there's so many questions, and it just like the episode ended as if it was like all nice and tidy and neat and stuff, and it's like I don't know what the fuck is going on, and I kind of don't care that much either now.
Yeah, it just kind of puts you in a spot where you're not sure how to feel because as you said, it's like wrapping stuff up, but then all of a sudden they're like, but wait, actually, there's one more twist that we didn't tell you about, and we're going to show you in the next episode, even though ultimately it doesn't change a whole lot of what happened in the previous episode. It like gives us perspective, but who knows? Like it just feels a little strange to end the episode this way.
Yeah. Well, Sly, you want to tell what the big reveal was at the very end? What Billy heard?
The big reveal is he's looking at his room when he finally, decides to go home and take a shower because he's stinky, apparently.
Bloody.
You dirty boy. He's looking around his room, and they kind of set it up very coyly. I think they're just trying to like spitball the idea to the viewers, but essentially his room is decorated with lots of, I guess, inspiration for the Witch's Road, which, might be foreshadowing, might be coincidence, but what the realization is that Billy somehow manifested the road. And all those references are scattered throughout his room. He's got the little green witch, which is, Agatha's look in the previous episode with Lilia.
Yep.
He has the bronzed boots.
Yeah, the painting.
As she made a
as
reference,
well.
like, what, would they look better bronzed? Yeah, that one as well. The pretty house that's like, oh, this is something out of like a model home. Every single reference was in that place. And I think another giveaway for it was earlier in the episode, I was looking at Rio when she was leaving Agatha, and I was like, why does that area behind her look so fake? And I was like about to shit talk the CGI so bad, but then she just stuck a knife through it like it was paper. And I was like, holy shit, are you telling me the road is fake? And I was perceiving it as more like Rio took them there and like this was kind of like her basement.
I almost forgot about that, yeah.
That's what I thought it was. It was very, very brief, but I was like, at first I was like, maybe she like opens a rift and it's like some dimension or some shit. No, just plain old black background behind her. So I was like, oh shit, there's nothing. So seeing that all come together and then the final reveal of him hearing boo behind him by, yours truly, it was just it was an exciting twist, but at the same time it was like, well, now what?
Yeah, exactly.
You're done
For
with the
real,
road.
like
You're done with
now
the
what?
road. I would have rather discovered that early in the episode, possibly pre-final trial, just been like, wait, you made this? Because like now everything, all the pieces are coming together. Agatha's been lying the entire time about, I've done this before. No, you have not. Because no one's ever had to do this before. It was a fairy tale. He made that fairy tale come true.
It
He
shoulda-
made that happen.
They should have figured it out that it was man-made in the last trial, you know?
Yeah.
And had her, like, get humbled to a degree, and her, like, oh, I don't know what the fuck, like, I've never experienced this. And then he had to conjure up some kind of thing for them to escape and get out of the road, you know? For him to leave, I guess. I feel like that would have been a little bit more better ending altogether. Maybe not for the episode, maybe as an entire series as a whole. But it is just, very underwhelming. It felt like very cool concept, you know, that they were trying to grasp at with it being like man-made and stuff, but they did not deliver there. But what do you guys give the episode? I'm gonna give it a 6.
I'll be slightly more generous and say a 7.
I kind of got to give it a 7 too. I'm like, it was a drastic step down from the last episode.
I agree.
But it wasn't like unbearable and unwatchable. It just had too many plot holes, and the story, the narrative, it was underwhelming and a little too rushed or too slow.
Yeah, it's not
The
even
pacing was
that,
all over
like,
the place.
I didn't like it. It felt like it just didn't work as well. Like, it did not work very well.
Yeah.
But so that's going to be a Foundry 7 for episode 8 of Agatha All Along, you guys. That's going to be it for this review. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like. You know, spread the love, show the video to some friends, send the link out. But we'll see you guys later for episode 9, the grand finale of Agatha All Along. But until then, bye, you guys.
Peace.
Bye.